The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today Edison asked me to play a list that has 3 cards in it. Wasteland, Daze, and Chancellor of the Annex. The overall plan, abundantly clear. Disrupt your opponent and make them not cast spells. And this seemed like an easy enough task. And then I started sitting down to build the deck, and I realized that if I was going to do this, all that I would be doing was playing a blue-white energy deck with Mockingbird and Chrome Mox, attempting to put Chrome Mox under, or rather put Chancellor of Annex under Chrome Mox, and this just seemed too vanilla. It seemed like I've done this before. I've done energy with a little bit of fast mana, and this didn't seem spicy enough for a tier 3 donation deck list. So I tried to go further into the jank. And we're going to go with the spirit of the donation rather than the words of the donation, the letter of the law here. And we're going to dip into stax pretty hard today. Here's what I've put together. Rather than do days stuff, I am interested in playing some more spheres. We haven't had the good old disco ball on the channel in a little while, and I don't know that we've seen very much Thorn of Amethyst lately either. And this is a throwback to a older style of deck building. I don't know, it's probably 2 or 3 years old at this point. But this White Prison deck that I have updated for modern times used to use Chancellor of the Annex to make it so that you could get to your first lock pieces and go and start destroying your opponent's lands, with the idea being that ultimately you stack up so many of these pieces that these traditional cantrip decks just can't operate anymore. And the decks even used Phyrexian Metamorph to further copy the cards like Sphere of Resistance and Thorn of Amethyst, so that your opponents eventually could just simply not cast anything, and you would win the game eventually. The win condition is a lot easier than it used to be doing these sorts of decks, as the artifact count from casting all of these spheres just innately makes Urza's Saga pretty good, and as long as you have one of the haste enabling pieces of equipment, it's pretty easy to kill your opponent in 2 combat steps. Ingenious Smith used to be a key piece to this deck, as this was a cantrip of sorts that also was a not a self-scaling, but a win condition that will keep scaling up as you just do the things that your deck wants to do. And in thinking about the current Legacy metagame, I don't think it's all that crazy to do this, because this deck just naturally has a bunch of things that you can put in to maybe combat a show and tell. The deck has Witch Enchanters and Solitudes and Touch the Spirit Realms and potentially some other things that might keep your opponent from casting their spells if they put in Omniscience after tapping out for a show and tell. And we have the entire playset of Touch the Spirit Realms in the 75 here. I'm interested in trying Erode in this deck list. This is a card that I have enjoyed a lot. This deck is a little lighter on true white mana than you might expect. I think it's okay. In the matchups where we're expecting a lot of creatures, we could board in up to 8 different... Well, maybe I'm not going to be recording the rest of this league right now. Up to 8 different additional removal spells, and we could go down on some of the Sphere and Thorn effects accordingly. We have a few extra Urza's Saga tutor targets in the sideboard, and I am also attempting City of Traders as well in the sideboard. This is something that I could play as a 3 of or 4 of in the main deck, because I am going to be a Crucible of Worlds Wasteland Urza's Saga deck, but I wanted to squeeze in a couple of extra white sources to just kind of smooth the mana out and make it so that Erode was something that was slightly more viable as far as the post-sideboard games go. So Edison, as well as everyone else, I hope you enjoy. This is a just nice, hard prison deck. Hopefully we'll bully some combo decks and have some nice, long, grindy games of Magic, which I know you all have been enjoying from the Nick Fit videos recently, which have been popping off like crazy. And all I'm saying is if you don't have your copies of iTwitch yet, and maybe some of the cool new lessons with Paradigm, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. And when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order and support my content. All right. I would say let's battle, but I think I'm going to go record something else and then come back and then let's battle. But like it'll be the same time for you all because that's how time works when you edit videos. All right. Magic Online is back. I will keep my hand here. I will reveal a Chancellor of the Annex. Hopefully slows my opponent down just a touch and lets me get this initial Thorn of Amethyst into play. Alright, looks like my opponent is just gonna get rid of a Nomads and let it die. Nice. Wasteland immediately? Wasteland immediately seems fine. I think I will go ahead and Chrome Mox, imprint Chancellor, and play out this Shadow Spear as well so it doesn't get stuck in my hand. Basic Island comes down and there is a Tamiyo. I don't have a white card right now to pair with that. That's the downside of playing out Chrome Mox and Shadow Spear immediately. I think I'm going to go ahead and play out Thorn here, despite the negative synergy with Crucible. Tamiyo will come in, do some clue stuff. And that's an ETB tapped land. There is Dread Return. Got it. Golem? I think I'm into the Golem. That'll bring me down to 16. And then we can potentially be attacking for 6 with lifelink per turn cycle. We do eventually have to worry to dying to the Cephalid Illusionist combo type stuff. We're not there yet. Underground Sea comes down. I mean, Touch the Spirit Realm is a way to get rid of a Tamiyo. I honestly just kind of think I'm more interested in doing this immediately, though. So, do 4 mana for the Crucible, play the Wasteland, I'll lose City of Traders, that's fine. I will Wasteland and take out an Underground Sea. Now my opponent does not have any open mana. I will go ahead and Solitude, pitching Touch the Spirit Realm, getting rid of Tamiyo, and now I will send in for 5. Edison, this is what you wanted, right? Sicko Lodestone Golem, Thorn of Amethyst shit. GG. If memory serves, our opponent is doing rather well on Magic Online right now. I think they were a current trophy leader or something like that. So, I know their list is playing a slower game, but I have not looked at their list. Bryant brought it up on the podcast. Like, presumably I want to do this stuff, right? I think I'm going to turn Solitude into Erode, since it hits both Creature Tamiyo and Planeswalker Tamiyo. I think I'm going to bring Pithing Needle in. I don't know, does my opponent combo off if I just have all of these sphere effects? Maybe they don't. Maybe I don't need Leyline. I don't know my opponent's exact build, which I could. It's public information. I could go and look it up right now. I don't think I keep this one. Second hand is just a double Urza's Saga hand. That's not exciting, but it's fine. I will use Chancellor to throw my opponent off of their initial intended speed. Eluded Delta and pass turn. So I will now Chrome Mox, imprint a Chancellor, throw down a Petal, and begin the Urza Saga stuff. Which does bring me to interaction versus my opponent's potential combo. Like, I have Grafdigger's Cage that this can get. No Surveil at end of turn there. Let's see what they're cooking. Basic Island and Shuko. That will resolve after paying for the tax. Chrome Mox is not what I'm looking for. I need to dodge for 1 turn here. And then I have Grafdigger's Cage and I don't care about the combo. Well, bad news. Good news is I'll get to see my opponent's deck. Lavinia, notably. Multiple Lavinia. Dread Return targeting Lavinia? Yep. The opponent just has Thassa's Oracle in hand right now. Got it. That is an erode. Activate this. Skateboard. Tap Lavinia. Play Urza's Saga. Whip Construct Token. Can't get any more damage by playing out Chrome Mox due to Lavinia. Opponent goes to 5, and then I think I am dead to their combo. They have no cards in library, so eroding this stuff doesn't help me. Alright. GG. Now that I have a look at my opponent's deck, like, I can just play Leyline. Although it's awkward if my opponent randomly has Thassa's Oracle like they just did, naturally in hand. I actually don't have that many things I need to erode. It's just Tamiyo. So I could consider playing Touch the Spirit Realm instead. I have to figure out how I'm getting these into the deck. It might just be that I take Chancellor out, and I'm worse at casting white spells. I think I'll live with that. Yeah, I'm going to assume that this works out somehow. I'll put a Leyline into play. Chrome Mox. Imprint the Smith. Play 1 Disco Ball. And this is probably going to be a relatively long game, as there's a second Disco Ball. When I get another land drop, you guessed it, there'll be a third Disco Ball. So yeah, pay the life, Disco Ball. Disco Balls will continue until morale improves and everyone is dancing. I will need to hit more mana. My deck has, deck's perfect. Deck design, pinnacle of deck building. This will kill pretty darn quickly with this many artifacts in play already, assuming I don't just get murdered by, something that sweeps all of these off the field at the same time. My opponent has their own Urza's Saga. You bet. That is a prismatic ending on Chrome Mox. So that is done for a white mana with 3 then from the X. So that's why they can cast it. All right, a land would be Swell. Nice, that's very good. Really needed that. So now my opponent's Urza Saga can tick up. I get to make some robot friends. And then I get to make some more robot friends. Pithing Needle on Shuko is kind of interesting. Skateboard for haste is kind of interesting. Pithing Needle on Delta with 3 spheres in play is kind of interesting. I think I kind of like Pithing Needle on Delta. I will just shut that off as a mana source. Send in for 6 here. Opponent's at 13. Their Urza Saga tokens are considerably smaller than mine. I'm not overly worried about them. I, in theory, have a Witch Enchanter in my hand, but I don't know that in practice that does all that much. All right. Ooh, a second Polluted Delta. Got him. Phyrexian Metamorph. Kind of neat. Things are a little hard to cast here. I will go ahead and send on in. Opponent considering... Yeah, that's what I expected to happen. So I take out both constructs, and then I'm left with a 2-turn clock. Excellent. Does this do anything interesting? I could cast a 2-mana spell if I played Ancient Tomb. No, that does not do anything interesting. Yeah. Opponent to 2. I think I am going to go ahead and start making other land drops, though, on the off chance that this game gets prolonged. Opponent has creatures they could theoretically cast to like chump block and buy time, but this many spheres is just a beating. We did it, Edison. The prison plan is real. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, opening hand here looks solid. So we have 1 mana, 2 mana, kind of 3 mana, 4 mana on turn 1. I think I can just shove a Lodestone Golem, although it might vary a little bit depending on what we're going on the other side of the battlefield. Oh, why'd you do that? I had such cool things to cast. God, I'm beginning to think this Thoughtseize card is kind of okay. I have lost the 3-ball. Land drop. Rome Mox. I think I'm still imprinting Solitude. Lotus Petal. Mox Opal. And days be damned, I'm here to cast Lodestone Golem. There it is. That's not overly surprising, right? Like, my opponent took the sphere over the Lodestone. I don't know that I take the turn off to play around days here, though. I have such expensive cards in my deck that a decent amount of the time I draw something big that I want to untap and cast. I'm just going to play that as an ETB tapped land and call it good. I potentially could play out Lotus Petal here as well, but I have, oh geez, what's it called? Ingenious. I have Ingenious Smith that makes me want to keep artifacts in hand. Opponent keeps their card on top from Surveil. Opponent brainstorms. Ooh, we're Doomsday? Seems like we're Doomsday. I will hold that. My deck is a lot of mana, but my deck is also a lot of Thorn of Amethyst style cards. Cavern of Souls on Wizard, and we are at flow state time. And second flow state time. A healthy and normal play pattern. More Lotus Petal. Opponent still has 5 cards in hand, by the way. Oh, it is go time. So I suspect that if I do not draw a relevant card, I will die on my opponent's turn. And it may just be with 3 lands already, 1 sphere effect is not going to be enough to do it. Opponent is down to 8. We'll take a quick look at this, see if anything is interesting. Looks like no Tamios here in game 1. Alright. Wasteland is something. I don't think it's enough. Take out an Underground Sea here. I don't care about the uncounterable part. Care more about shutting off some blue mana on the off chance that that's relevant for some consider line or something. I imagine I'm just dying to, like, artifact mana nonsense. Yep, there's the LED. Great Wraith cycling means that my opponent can get the blue. There is the Consider. Witherbloom Charm. That's mighty spicy. Alright, GG. How are they planning on casting that? I guess black-green from LED in a pinch? I suspect that I already have most of the stuff in my deck that is going to be good in this matchup in the Game 1 deck. I probably don't need Shadow Spear. I can probably board up a City of Traders for accelerating out these various lock pieces. Pithing Needle has some niche uses. I don't know that I'm going to adjust any more from here. Solitude is a white card that can go under Chrome Mox and technically can attack my opponent's life total in a prolonged game. So this hand has 2 Chancellors. Not a great follow-up play. Like, my follow-up play is a turn 2 Ingenious Smith. I think I could probably do better than this. I don't know that I'm excited about this one either. I think I'm going to go to 5. And maybe around here I need to just start being less picky. I think this is just going to be a double Ingenious Smith Wasteland hand. And that just is what it is. We'll go Ancient Den, pass as to not show Wasteland immediately. There's Bayou. And I get Thoughtseized. I can't be dazed off of Bayou. So I know that if I play this, it will resolve. I'm always losing one of those to the Thoughtseize. No big deal. I think I go ahead and just play the Smith here. I sure can get Force of Will. That is a Thassa's Oracle to exile, though. Underground Sea comes down. And that's a flow state that is already online. Seems good. That is not what I am looking for. I think I don't wasteland my opponent, which is awkward. Because I really kept this hand hoping to have one of these 2 in play and then wasteland my opponent. That's not how this is playing out. If I draw another land, I can wasteland the Underground Sea, and that's fine. Although I might just consider casting a Lodestone Golem. Duress will miss. Oh, I'm in. It's a pretty bad daze for me. I don't care if this gets Force of Willed. It is Consign. Sure. Building a Doomsday pile that beats 2 active Wastelands is rough. Although I probably need to make a construct with one of these Wastelands in this turn. Oh, hello. I will make a friend. I don't have a Pithing Needle right now. I think I'm just gonna Chrome Mox. Do this. Play Wasteland. Pass turn, and then we start going for some lands. Maybe I should have boarded in the Pithing Needle for this exact situation, where I get to snipe a fetch land. One says no to Force of Will. I say no to copies of Underground Sea, I suppose. I could take out the Bayou to take them off of green mana. I think the blue pips for casting Thassa's Oracle are too relevant. Like, I can take out 2 Underground Seas and then an Undercity Sewers as well on my next turn. Seems good. Ooh, Dark Ritual Doomsday. They're doing it. I would love to top deck a Sphere effect. Alright, opponent has made their pile. Looks like they are still fully on the combo stuff here. They have a mana short of Lodestone Golem, unfortunately. I will send in for 3. Put my opponent to 4. And I'll take this out. We will see if it's good enough. It is indeed good enough. That was on board and pretty straightforward. Maybe it has to do with life totals. Maybe they can only win if I wasteland that one instead. Regardless, GG. Do I want to play a Singleton Pithing Needle for the exact scenario that came up where I Pithing Needle a fetch land when my opponent doesn't respond? I don't hate it. I don't love it either. Like, it's not like I'm realistically expecting to kill with Solitude. I am 100% expecting to kill with Urza Saga in this matchup. I don't hate that small adjustment. Touch the Spirit Realm also has pretty niche use cases here. I have an okay hand. I am willing to keep it because it represents a turn 1 sphere, but it's not overly exciting. Plus, I believe I have been thought seized every game. Alright, not this one. Very nice. Opponent ponders instead. And shuffles. They are not immediately wastelandable this time. They play out a Lotus Petal. Are you going now? I would prefer not. Oh, they're going now. So we will see if their pile beats turn 1 Sphere of Resistance into turn 2 Wasteland. Alright, my opponent has sealed their fate. And there's what we're working with. I don't see the Lion's Eye Diamond, so I think we kind of know what's going on there. Okay. There's a Lotus Petal. I think I'm just showing Wasteland and keeping this on the off chance that it's relevant. There's a Sphere. Oof, that is Force of Negation. I suspect that means my opponent wins. There's a Brainstorm. Lion's Eye Diamond. Cycling Street Wraith. Racking for triple blue. That is a Thassa's Oracle. 2 cards remaining in deck. Solitude. Pitch Witch Enchanter. Exile Thassa's Oracle. Do I win? I do win. I mean, that's exactly why I didn't play that land. Feels strange that I won, but I did. We're 2-0 with White Prison? Hell yeah. GG. All right. I mean, this is what we're here for, right? Turn 1 Sphere of Resistance. Hello, and love your YouTube. How do you feel? Oh, you're a Sphere of Resistance hater. I don't know how much you love the YouTube if you don't let a Sphere of Resistance resolve. Just saying. That was pitching a Flusterstorm. I wonder if my opponent is playing High Tide. Big if true. City of Traders is a thing. I think I am looking for a new Sphere effect with Ingenious Smith. That'll do. Lodestone Golem. So I can now play that next turn and then potentially clone it with Metamorph. Opponent says I better perform. Mathemagics kill or we riot. Scalding Tarn comes down. Opponent could still be like a Sneak and Show deck that has a main deck Flusterstorm in a flex slot. That is a stock up. You've got it. So there's like some question of what land drop I play on my turn. This one triggers the Smith and lets me cast Lodestone, but doesn't play around days. Whereas this one doesn't trigger Lodestone, but if Lodestone resolves, this happens anyway. I think I'm into casting the Lodestone around days. Let's get it in there. All right, fantastic. This means that I get to send in for 2 immediately. Then next turn I can potentially metamorph the Lodestone and then be sending in for 8 damage. It's a 2-mana Ponder. Considerably worse than the 1-mana Ponder. Tarn comes down. Ooh, a Wasteland. So this is going to cost me 2 life here. Opponent fetches, which is why I didn't play my land drop yet. That is 1 mana for a Force of Will, pitching a Daze, which is dead due to Lodestone Golem. So then I lose my city, but wasteland my opponent's volcanic island. Send in for 7 points of damage, which leaves my opponent on a 2-turn clock. I think they need Ancient Tomb. Ooh, that's Ancient Tomb. Show and tell? That is show and tell. Here's a Chancellor. That's an Emrakul. Your Emrakul is not good enough. Yeah! GG. Again, like I talked about in the intro, we have a bunch of things to put in off of show and tell. So I think this matchup is probably going to be okay. I probably want to board in these 4 with Pithing Needle for sneak attack being something else I should probably be thinking about. Let's just make that substitution for Shadow Spear immediately. I'll probably get rid of Crucibles here for Touch the Spirit Realm. I'll probably sub out 2 Ingenious Smith for 2 Solitude. And then, do I want the extra City of Traders? It seems okay. Accelerating to Lodestone Golem matters. It's a little worse if I take out the 2 Crucibles, though. This seems okay. So I have turn 1 Thorn of Amethyst, and then the ability to at least theoretically copy it, although I don't know that this is going to resolve. If my opponent casts Show and Tell, I'm going to have to do some soul searching about which one of these I put in. Which enchanter stops the scariest lines, though? And then opponent's going to pass. I will play this immediately prior to my Thorn, and then attempt to throw down the Thorn. Thorn does resolve. Excellent. Note that this is non-creature spells, so my Solitude is still pitch castable. Opponent has 4 mana. They can just cast Show and Tell. It is Show and Tell. I think I put in Witch Enchanter to counter Omniscience. It is Atraxa. So I now don't have a white card in hand for Solitude. Opponent can get Force of Will Show and Tell as well. But what if I get my own Atraxa, though? Tarn, Sneak Attack, Show and Tell, Force of Will, Emrakul. Seems good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Due to my Thorn, I know the stuff that I do is going to resolve. Ancient Den comes down, giving me mana to cast Metamorph without paying life. And I think I just do that. And now I'm just looking for any white card off of my Atraxa. I succeed. So I will go Reacher, Enchantment, Artifact, and Land. Done. There is Solitude, pitching Chancellor, taking out the opposing Atraxa. We're still in this after a resolved Atraxa. This is great. So then my Solitude goes bye-bye. My opponent is above their starting life total. Hopefully not for very long. 22. Tarn comes down. Fetches Mountain. This is a sick sneak attack, by the way. It is another Show and Tell. We know my opponent has Emrakul. I think I am putting in Touch the Spirit Realm accordingly. Get out of there, Emrakul. Did I reveal that off of my thing? I did. So that was just known that my opponent had to get through that. Ooh, gross. Wasteland U. Go to Punchies. In for a bunch of damage. I have 9 of 10 required to kill my opponent here. Opponent is pondering. Oh, they've capped. So they've played this fetch land, but as soon as I attack for 9, that fetch land is not live. Well, one of the things that I built this deck to do was to attempt to beat up on Show and Tell, and we beat a resolved Emrakul and Atraxa. Hell yeah, we're 3-0. White Prison. GG. This is a weird hand. I should probably mulligan it. But this is so delicious if it works. Don't just fetch basics all game, I beg you. Shit. think I play Ancient Den here. I was really hoping my opponent would surveil. Okay, that's a wastelandable land. So that is all I will be doing, is wastelanding this Underground Sea. And we'll do this in my opponent's upkeep on the off chance that my opponent has Stifle effects in their deck, which is possible. Quantum Riddlers and such are a thing. Opponent fetches in their main phase for a new Underground Sea, and Thought Seizes me. I presume that this is the best card in my hand, but I don't technically know what matchup we're playing against yet. But Wasteland doesn't discriminate. Wasteland kills the Underground Sea, no matter what it's casting. We love Wasteland. Right, I am correct. There is a Wasteland. My opponent is not wastelanding my Ancient Den, presumably saving it for my Urza Saga. I will wasteland their Underground Sea. I'm fine passing now. I don't think I am interested in wastelanding their wasteland and then letting them wasteland my Ancient Den as well. Unfortunately for me, they do just have more lands. Now fetching Basic Island, and it is flow state time. It is sort of starting to feel like this is Doomsday. Touch the Spirit Realm is probably not great. I will play out an Urza Saga, and my opponent can wasteland that, and that's fine with me. Opponent ponders, and plays an ETB tapped land. Ooh, there's Snuff Out. Maybe this is actually just like a Dimir control deck or mid-range deck. Opponent is not wastelanding Urza Saga. Wild. I don't want to play this. If I play Plains as my lane drop and play both Chrome Mox and Mox Opal, I can play this. I guess I will. I think I'll imprint Witch Enchanter, do Plains, do Mox Opal. I'm not trying to maximize like +1/+1 counters on this creature. I don't want my opponent to change their mind about wastelanding Urza Saga. Alright, it has resolved Lodestone or just Crucible. If this is a control deck, the Crucible is a beating long term, and if this is a combo deck, the Lodestone is much better. I'll take the Crucible, and I think because Orcish Bowmasters exists, I'm going to go ahead and do this and put the +1/+1 counter on this right now. There is a Barrowgoyf. I am equipped to answer that. That is fine. It is scarier if it gets backed up by Force of Will. A new Ingenious Smith. Bam. This will put a counter on the Smith. Now, Skateboard just lethal. So I tap this down. I have 6, 12, 16, 17. Yeah, Skateboard is just lethal. Assuming no more Snuff Out. Equip. Okay, there is another Snuff Out. Sure. So now, I think I'm going to attempt to remove this creature around a Daze. I'll pitch an Ingenious Smith here. Well, that is a Force of Will, pitching a Kaito. We do get confirmation that my opponent is playing like a Dimir control deck. Next turn I can touch the Spirit Realm this. I will Skateboard, equip here. If I send in for 9, my opponent goes to 2. They go back to 8. I'm debating whether or not I want to leave back the Smith to just chump block. I think I'm fine with that. I don't know that this game ends next turn, given the number of cards that my opponent has in hand. Down to 5. And if they don't attack, I can channel this, blink this out of the way, and then have lethal that way. Alright, to block is fine. See if I get wastelanded. Like my opponent has a Murktide. Is not great for me. I care about that a lot less than the Barrowgoyf. Like, I can potentially just win the race by attacking my opponent for 6 twice. They have to attack me for 8 3 times. There is Ancient Den. This is up to a 7. Here is Touch the Spirit Realm. Wow. That sucks. My opponent has had 4 free pieces of interaction. Snuff out, force, force. I mean, that explains why they weren't doing stuff for so long, right? Alright, that is a Fatal Push on top of that. That is 14 damage. Absolutely brutal. And my opponent can pick up a Brazen Borrower. That seems pretty hard to beat. Insane. I did not expect to lose this game. Yeah, I can Lodestone with haste. That's not lethal. I die to this in the air. Very, very disappointing loss there. GG. Okay, I suspect that Erode will be quite good. I know that my opponent has Kaito as well. I think I would like all of these, not the Grafdigger's Cage. I will probably get this to search for and take Shadow Spear out. My sphere effects are probably fine. I could take the Chancellors out and just overload on endgame removal. I don't hate it. How do I feel on like Touch the Spirit Realm versus Solitudes? The channeling is super relevant to remove counters from Murktide Regents without giving my opponent life. I think I'm okay with a split. I could go down some Thorn effects and play a ton of removal. I think I'm okay with this split. Okay. This seems fine. There is a Mox Opal. There is a Chrome Mox. I will imprint a Witch Enchanter. I think I am okay playing turn 1 Urza's Saga here. And throwing down the Sphere. It has stuck. So assuming I don't get wastelanded immediately, I am off to a very, very, very strong start. Excellent. So Saga ticks up. I will, I guess, play a basic. I could see doing this tapped in this turn cycle as well, but sometimes I need this to be a pitch card for a Solitude or whatever. Blooded Strand surveilled away, and Bloodstained Mire comes down. So I will activate Saga. I have a 4/4 immediately. Lodestone Golem is a cool pickup, but I think I will just continue to make construct tokens. Opponent fetches. I am probably fine to get Skateboard and just attack here. Keep up maximum aggression. Yeah. I mean, I know that one of my creatures is surely gonna die, right? Like, attempt to change phases. That is a fatal push for 2 mana. You've got it. I will pay 3 life to move this Skateboard here and get 1 more point of damage in. I now have 4 mana in play. I have Lodestone if I draw any mana source. And I just have a 2-turn clock in theory. Alright, well, this is an attempt at a Lodestone Golem. That is a 2 mana Brainstorm in response. Don't do it now, it's 3 mana. That is a 1 mana Snuff Out, killing my construct token. Now, Lodestone Golem gets on the Skateboard and crashes in for most of my opponent's life total. They are at 2. Another land comes down. Seems like my opponent is figuring out Murktide Regent through Lodestone Golem and Sphere of Resistance. Oh no, that's a Ponder. Very fast shuffle. And we just get that one easily on turn 4. Excellent. GG. So now that I am going on the draw, do I want to drop some number of these or these? It would be okay. Stopping my opponent's mana efficiency definitely matters. And stacking this stuff is very strong against my opponent. I have 9 answers to creatures, erodes, touches, and solitudes right now. I think I'm willing to turn 2 of those into additional removal spells, but I'm not 100% sure. This still leaves me with 8 of those effects. That's a weird opening hand. It's not exactly bad, but it's not exactly good. I think I'm just going to keep it. I think any additional mana source makes it rather strong. Tameo. Yeah, you got it. I can, in theory, Solitude that. Cool. Bam. Bam. Then it's more interesting. Erode answering Tameo matters a lot if this Solitude does not resolve. But I think I want Witch Enchanter, since my next 2 lands are Urza Sagas. I think I'm just hoping that this resolves. And it does. That is great for me. Big game. And now, long term, I am trying to set up Crucible Wasteland. Opponent fetches to 19, and unfortunately has another Tameo. Maybe I'll get my own Tameo in a minute. ETB tapped land and pass turn. Next land drop comes down. Tameo comes in. Basic Plains. I think I'm just going to play Saga. Opponent can now fetch and crack a clue. And presumably their deck is built with a bunch of snuff outs around the idea that Tameo can let you pull ahead very easily. That is unfortunate. I have a Crucible, but the Tamiyo is accruing a lot of value in a very annoying way. Ancient Tomb is cool. Let's throw that Crucible out there. It doesn't get any immediate value. Opponent cracks a clue. It resolves. So I can start a soft Wasteland lock as of next turn. Or alternatively, start playing Urza's Saga from the graveyard to catch up to what this Tamiyo has done to me via clues. That is the Brainstorm. Now means that I can't Metamorph and get my own Tamiyo. It also means that like playing Urza's Saga becomes more important. Tamiyo up to 4. And a Ponder afterwards, which presumably is just going to shuffle away some of the stuff from the Brainstorm. Okay. Okay, so no, but then opponent did Undercity Sewers and shuffled away a Tamiyo. Okay, got it. I would like to take this card out of play. Let's get Urza's Saga going. I'll throw this into play now. Not online yet. Here is a Lodestone Golem. Now Mox Opal is online. And we'll try to give my opponent a few different things to worry about. They do have a 7-card grip and the ability to get things back from the graveyard with Tamiyo. My situation is not fantastic. Tamiyo pluses up to 6. There is a Wasteland. That buys some time versus Urza's Saga. My opponent find a Murktide. They did find a Murktide. It is a 5/5. Opponent is not going after my Urza's Sagas, which I guess I am thankful for. So somewhat annoyingly, if I attack with Lodestone, I have 4 power, so I don't kill Murktide Regent. I guess I intend on breaking through next turn. I think I'm doing this. Bam, bam, 2 life. Is it better to copy the token? No, probably not. There is a Phyrexian Metamorph. I will copy Lodestone Golem. Now I pass the turn and don't attack in. Made my opponent's spells more awkward to cast. Next turn, I can probably do some pretty cool things with haste. And I also just have Pithing Needle for Tamiyo at that point as well. Yeah, you can clue. I could get Wastelanded in this turn cycle, though. Opponent has kind of just been letting Urza's Saga do Urza's Saga stuff. But they won the last round, so it worked for them. Alright, opponent went into the tank for a while. They have plussed Tamiyo. They are taking out my Urza's Saga. I will do this. I have 3 different things that can attack into Tamiyo next turn. And a Fatal Push on a Lodestone Golem. Sure. Nice. So whatever I do resolves. I believe that I can just play a land and cast Touch the Spirit Realm. It will cost 4. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Take out Murktide and Wasteland my opponent. I like that. And I just know this is resolving. Goodbye, Murktide. Hello, Wasteland. Wasteland one of your lands. Cast Chrome Mox. No imprint. Go to combat. 8 at Tamiyo. Good shit. Opponent now has to deal with Wasteland Lock and Urza's Saga loops and 10-ish onboard power. I don't have enough mana for something like a Barrogoyf. Fatal Push, sure. That lets them ponder. And they pass the turn. I have drawn a Wasteland. I will go 1 and 2. Oop, what just happened there? 1. Oh, that is a Chrome Mox with nothing under it. I see. There we go. Skateboard for haste. Seems fine. Tap your island. Play a Wasteland from the yard. Wasteland and Underground Sea. Take 2 to equip this. Send in for a ton of damage. Want to need like Land Barrogoyf maybe? That is Land Barrogoyf. So I attack in with both of these after. Yeah, I'll play a Sphere. That's fine. 1 and 2. So this will grow this to a 7, meaning that both of these kill Barrogoyf. I think I just keep wasting my opponent. Yeah. Send in with both. I don't think I'm going to spend a life to, rather 2 life to just equip the skateboard. The 2-mana Ponder doesn't feel great for my opponent. Imagine they are now dead to the Construct token. They put up a pretty darn good fight. GG. I now believe that this deck is 4-0. We've been fighting for them, but we sure are winning. GG. Alright, final round. Playing for the trophy. My opponent has revealed a Yorion companion, so maybe Death and Taxes, maybe some blue value Dirtle pile. I can slam a sphere on turn 1. It's very, very awkward if my opponent leads on Vial, though. I think I'll keep anyway. I don't have confirmation that they are Death and Taxes anyway. Oh my gosh, Mr. Percy is yelling at me. Hold on. Alright, well, Mr. Percy can't decide whether or not he wants to come in. I've left the door cracked for him. Basic Plains, looking like Death and Taxes. There's the Aether Vial that I did not want to see. Stonks. Crucible, not particularly strong here. I think I am still gonna do this play despite the awkwardness. It makes my Solitude worse, but my opponent presumably has a bunch of cool things that they want to be casting over the next couple of turns. Slowing that down is worth something. I'm mostly hoping that my opponent does not have Wasteland for Urza Saga. That's interesting. Do I have the game 1 Pithing Needle? No, I have sideboard Pithing Needle. My sphere is so awkward here. Alright, I'm doing this. And passing the turn. I'll go up to 2. Opponent fetches. Goes to 15. And drops a Stoneforge Mystic. Which I will probably just be exiling here. Yeah, it's gotten Meteor Sword. I will just attempt to exile that while I can. That costs me 1 mana and the Witch Enchanter, and then I'm going to hope that they don't have a second Stoneforge Mystic. Opponent has an upkeep effect of White Orchid Phantom. Oh, I hate that. Hate that a lot. That slows me down significantly, and that enters the battlefield tapped, meaning that I can't, even Crucible this turn. I will go 3 mana for an Ingenious Smith, picking up another sphere. Aether Vial remains at 2. There is a Thoughtseize, so I now lose presumably my Crucible. Pretty easily my best card since it represents a bunch of Urza Sagas. Alright, opponent is just holding back the White Orchid Phantom. Hell yeah. That's a good rip. I will go 4 for a Lodestone Golem. Will then buff my Ingenious Smith. But my opponent's creature has first strike, so I'm not getting in there. Please no second Stoneforge. Nice! Nice! Good shit for me. Feel the trophy slipping away. So now my opponent has access to Meteor Sword and pre-war Formalware off of this Stoneforge Mystic, so my attacks in are not necessarily fantastic. Opponent's chump blocks become very good. See what this is. It is the Meteor Sword. I imagine I lose Urza Saga. New Ingenious Smith. Alright. This is not an artifact, so this costs a decent amount of mana. Metamorph? Call Metamorph. I don't know how I feel about this. Even if opponent just chumps, that's not great for me. And if I lose this creature, the floodgates might open up. I think I'm gonna chill. Opponent can now surveil. I don't really know that I want to be prolonging this game. Vial is headed towards 5, which is not great for me. Opponent is passing the turn. I don't necessarily take that as a great sign. Well, ow. Greatness at any cost. Do I take out the Vial? I think I take out the Vial. Yeah? Trigger 2 copies of Ingenious Smith. I think I don't want to lose my Ancient Tomb right now. I think we're staring at each other. Do you have Cauldra too? Lion's Sash. Okay, that is a reasonable thing to do with your mana. Lion's Sash up to a 3/3 already. I knew something was a little funky when Yorion didn't come into play. I don't have a white card for that, and that's very far away from castable. How much is this? 3? I think I am casting this mostly to scale my creatures. And then I want to hit a white card and remove Lion's Sash. There's still the pre-war Formalware problem of White Orchid Phantom being brought back and destroying my Ancient Tomb. The Lion Sash also uniquely solved my opponent's problem of, like, it being hard to cast their spells. I guess I'm hoping that they don't become the aggressor. Like, life becomes awkward for me as soon as they start attacking with the Lion Sash, since my life total is so low. Oh, that Wasteland's so good. Oh, no. That was just on board. Yep. I am dead to that. GG. From the Aether Vial, that just did not line up well for us. And this is probably where I do exactly what I talked about in the deck tech, where I just board in a giant pile of things that look like this while boarding out taxation effects. Seems reasonable, but I now have to get 2 in a row to get this trophy. And I think this is going to be a tougher matchup. My opening hand is not necessarily anything special. I get to play Ingenious Smith into Urza's Saga on turn 2. It's a little awkward if I get Wastelanded on 1, which didn't happen, thankfully. Alright. Saga. Smith. Notably, my artifact count is a little lower in the current configuration. What do I feel about Chromox? Not great. I guess I am taking the skateboard. Not exactly my ideal. So I would prefer to just leave that in deck to tutor up. Thoughtseize, sure. I think the Erode is the best card in my hand. My opponent could take skateboard depending on what the context of their hand looks like. Well, alright. I get Wastelanded. That's fine. Hopefully Ingenious Smith can do some work. So I will play a skateboard, tap Shadowy Backstreet, scale Smith, Wasteland, Shadowy Backstreet. Ooh, it is a Solitude. If you're going to do that, you can do that before the counter resolves and not give me 1 more life. I will happily take a bonus life in my Ancient Tomb deck, though. That is a Caracas, which is a wastelandable land. I think I just take that out immediately. I can play Ingenious Smith next turn and then give it haste and not really miss out on anything. Ooh, opponent is down to no lands. Hell yeah. So, 1 mana floating. Ingenious Smith. I only hit Ancient Den there. That's kind of whatever. But here is my haste, and I am in for 2. Opponent is at 15. Oh, nice. Lodestone Golem is so good. So this triggers Ingenious Smith. Ooh, I could have gone for haste on Lodestone Golem there. I almost certainly should have. That was an error on my part. I don't think it's an error that matters, because I imagine that my opponent just concedes here. And I am correct. But I had a better line, and I should have taken it. That felt very dominant on my end. Let's do that again. I like the part where my opponent has no permanence in play at the end of the game. Down to the wire. Match tied. Playing for the trophy. This hand needs more mana, but has an answer to an early Stoneforge and a very strong situational card. I am going to do a risky keep here and hope that I get a little bit more mana. Like, one of the things that I am most scared of is my opponent just sticking in early Stoneforge Mystic and pulling ahead, and I would like that not to happen. Opponent just passes right back. Ancient Tomb is big game. Wasteland now? No, I think I just want to resolve my Crucible. I don't want that to get Thoughtseized. And I have Solitude for an end of turn Felia. Alright, there it is. I'll let my opponent commit some more mana to the board. I guess I have Caracas to think about. Maybe that was an error. Overlord is cool. Picking up a Solitude. Then beginning of combat, I will take this creature out. Yeah. And yeah. Goodbye, Felia. And now I hopefully start doing Crucible Wasteland crimes. And exhaust my opponent's resources. And then eventually play Lodestone Golem. I don't think I need to jam that immediately, because I know that my opponent has Solitude. Okay, sure. I like the part where my opponent is going to let me erode Stoneforge Mystic. Although if they get pre-war formal wear, I guess that's slightly more awkward. I got Lion Sash. So Overlord ticks down. I will just erode a Stoneforge to make sure that I can use this mana. Opponent gets a land tapped. Get my Wasteland value. Now I think I play Lodestone. And at some point when this wasteland is tapped, I can wasteland it. Alright, they are just going to fire off the Solitude, exiling another Solitude. Sure. Thoughtseize is not bad. That can clear the way for the Lion Sash. The Lion Sash can make my Crucible less good. So let's see if my opponent responds immediately. They should respond to this by removing this wasteland before I can replay it. They figured it out. That's fine. I have another one that I'll use in a minute. I'm not going to show that immediately. I will play Lodestone Golem. I have to deal with this. I've lost my other Erode. That's a Swords. That's not great for me. I'll take some damage. Ox Opal is not a good draw at this stage. I am passing the turn. Opponent should have eaten a permanent from graveyard there. I think continuing to scale this Lion Sash up matters a lot. Do have more basics. This is sad for me. Stoneforge is not great for me either. Pre-war Formalware is now a thing. Yeah, opponent can keep eating stuff. And Overlord does its thing. Cool, that's very nice. So I get to answer the worst of these. Which honestly, it's pretty close which one of those is worse. I think it's Overlord. The Lion Sash is pretty annoying with pre-war Formalware being a thing. Another Swords? No, it's a Lion Sash activation. Drawing like a Metamorph and exiling the Lion Sash would be pretty cool. I'm at 13. Grummox is not what I am looking for. My attack in is also not great because of pre-war Formalware. Hate that. I think I am just passing the turn. So, now we've got pre-war Formalware on Stoneforge Mystic, which can search up Meteor Sword. This was a 3-4, so again, my attack in wasn't great. Now my opponent can just like Meteor Sword Solitude after they attack with all of their creatures due to Vigilance. Wasteland is quite good here. Gonna take me off of some of my 5 mana outs. Take it? I think I take it. And leave myself the out of drawing Phyrexian Metamorph. But my opponent can just like respond to that with Meteor Sword. I am now dead on board. Assuming that my opponent puts in Meteor Sword and kills Solitude. That seems unnecessary. Lion Sash activates. And again, I think opponent just missed equipping Meteor Sword for lethal. So I get another draw here. Or no, I'd be at 2. Sure, you can reconfigure. Thank you, deck. We had a hell of a run with this deck, though. That was a very strong 4-1 league. I am perfectly happy with that. GG. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Honestly, way better than I was expecting. This was a 4-1 that wasn't very far away from a 5-0. I think the Death and Taxes matchup is just generally speaking going to be very tough because I have built my deck to be good against kind of the cantrip side of Legacy with all of these overlapping sphere effects, and my opponent can largely ignore that via Aether Vial type stuff and sinking mana into onboard cards like Lion Sash and Stoneforge Mystic. So I think our deck just lined up poorly in that last round, and that's okay. Opponent also had the Aether Vial when I kept a hand that was very, very good if they didn't. I don't know how good Ingenious Smith actually was in this league. It was something that cantripped, and that is worth something in a deck that cannot cantrip. It is a white card that can go under Chrome Mox. That is maybe worth something. I don't know that it is better than something else that I could be playing, like an Archon of Emeria, Anointed Peacekeeper type card or something like that. Generally speaking, a lot of the time I think I got my actual kills with Urza Saga. Crucible did some work today in recurring lands. Sideboard Erodes were fine. There's some awkwardness in feeding your opponent basic lands when you are trying to wasteland them into oblivion, and I even thought about putting a Singleton Ghost Quarter in the deck as wasteland number 5 specifically, so that if you assemble Crucible plus Ghost Quarter, you can take them off of those last couple of lands, but that felt like a little bit too much. I did like the extra Ghost Quarter, or sorry, extra City of Traders in the sideboard. That was a fine addition to the deck as well. I am very happy with this, and I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you have any thoughts about some other things we could have included in the deck, please throw them down in the comments below. We might end up playing something like this sometime again in the future. Edison, I think I did your desire for people not casting their spells and resolving their spells. I think I did it well. I hope you enjoyed. All right, folks, have a great rest of the day. See ya.